One of the projects we came up with outside of the vehicle projects was we wanted to redo the back half of the lobby at the restaurant that I acquired from my brother. We're starting BW, the coffee company. That's what we wanted to do.
Probably close to 5 years ago, we talked about coffee, wanted to get into it, started messing around with roasting because we wanted to roast our own, we wanted it to be fresh. So we started with that, and the plan was eventually we wanted to open coffee locations, but we wanted to establish the brand just with roasting coffee beans and selling coffee beans online. My uncle, who owns Ray's here in Lake City, decided he wanted to open a second branch in Georgia.
We were going to actually put our coffee shop in there, but it just ended up being too complicated having to go back and forth all the way from there while we're living here in Lake City.
When we set up the location here, we helped him do the signage, set up a lot of the stuff that kind of makes it look cool.
I still did the build out for him there in Atlanta. And then we took the proceeds from that, and that's what I ended up buying Ray's with from him.
So we decided that we'd put our coffee shop in that deli that's in Lake City and then manage that as well.
Since he had left, I was managing the deli, and so we thought if we were going to take this over, Shane, it bugs him to no end if there's anything not like up to par and up to his standards. So that back room was neglected because anything that was worn and old had been moved to that back room. It was basically the benches were getting worn out, the tables were all, the finish was coming off. I mean, it was looking pretty grungy, so it needed a makeover.
It gave us the opportunity to try things that we weren't going to try.
We wanted it to kind of stand out and be its own unique place and what we want the brand to be. So we decided to take just half the restaurant and try to kind of bring that in and redesign that area into what we wanted BW to look like.
And we also wanted to just add more coffee shop vibes to it as well.
And at the same time, possibly determine whether or not we're going to do lobbies, because that's still, even at this point, up in the air. If we're going to do more lobbies or just more of the drive-through container type coffee thing. That's what we originally started out doing. So we decided to remodel that back there and, for lack of better terminology, BW Blacksmith it. We wanted to use a lot of steel and a lot of that kind of rustic barn appeal type look. That's what BW Blacksmith is.
His Ray's is very Western, very like deer, bears, kind of had a theme going, but we wanted it to be more of like a cool coffee vibe, like more of our style of things.
Kind of make it our own, kind of make it a cool spot for people that come buy coffee to hang out, to kind of lounge, you know, because there's a different atmosphere. You can come into Ray's Deli and you can eat, you can maybe do some work, it's going to be a little loud. Whereas other places, you know, like cafes or something, they have locations where you can kind of sit, you know, do some computer work, and they have some power there. You kind of just sit there for a while and take care of some things. Ray's didn't have that before, so we decided to turn that back area into that.
So the different aspects, there would be the Montana room.
And then you have the party room, which we turned into the Montana room. Of course, the party room was still going to be there, but we didn't want to just leave it the same as it was.
In there I needed a table, and we needed to do something to make the walls look, change the look from Ray's to BW, and we needed something to hang on the walls. So we came up with the idea to do the slat board on the bottom part of the walls, and then I made artwork for the walls in that room. So basically I made pictures, but they're not pictures. They're basically picture frames that have wood on the middle of them. And then what I did is I took a bunch of my dad's antique shopping tools that he went out and bought, blacksmithing tools. And so those are his authentic tools that we have on the art that we put on the walls in there. So we built the art that's on the walls, we redid the walls, and then the masterpiece, I guess you would say, would be the table.
The table was built out of steel and wood and kind of given that rustic blacksmith feel to it, so that was another big project.
We created the second half, which is where the booths are, and where you've got, you know, some nice warm lighting you can kind of lounge in.
Metal lights with gears and cool parts that really came together cool too. He was pretty happy with how those turned out. We had tables for the booths as well, and each booth they wanted to come up with a theme for each one for kind of attract kids to come in and have some fun while they're having a meal. So each one has got a special theme from drawing and coloring crayons on one. One has some old Atari games and that sort of thing. And then there's the one with like old cartoons, and the customers seem to really like it.
We had to redo the walls, and we did the 2x6 build out on the walls like we did. It kind of matched where we put the actual coffee shop. Built tables, and those tables were built specifically to hang on the wall, freeing up foot space down below. It's all steel, it's all clear coated with wood in the middle. We made the boards removable so that they can clean them. That's probably the toughest part when you're doing something like this, is you want to make sure nobody is hurting themselves as they slide in and out. You want to make sure that they don't fall off the wall. And then the biggest thing is how do they keep it clean? So building a cool looking countertop from scratch, custom, and having it be something easy to clean can be a bit of a challenge. So far it's working out. I mean, the boards do have cracks for stuff to fall in, but they clean them. So it was, I think, a good plan.
Dad completely built like a brand new awning out of beams and steel, so it looks really cool.
We're not just building tables and everything like that. When we were putting everything in there, we had to build around all the stuff there, so you had to get your measurements exactly right. And it was a lot of steel work too for me, because I'd just be out there by myself for 3 days for that whole week, and I'm just sitting there working till 2 a.m. every night.
He built custom shelves, he built custom wall decor, and then of course we did the wall that everybody loves but my sisters hate with all of the small stained bricks and the signage and stuff like that.
It turned out really good. The kids are going to have some really good stories for you on that.
That was not the fun part.
Me and Kendra had to hand paint all of those, and that was like a week-long process. Every day after work, it's like, oh, go paint the blocks. It was so boring, so boring.
I wasn't even a part of it. I was there for I wasn't part of it at all, actually. I loaded them up for them, that was it.
I don't know how they got there, but they were out by our shed, way out there.
Basically what I did is I started out with saying, well, I can just buy a bunch of 2x and 4x and whatever, cut them all up, stain them, do all this. And when you start thinking about that, that's a lot of wood. So I got the idea of contacting a truss company and seeing what they do with all their cutoffs. And we actually found one that it was really quite easy. They actually have their own dump trailer and everything else that they fill up. And all you do is get on their schedule and come by and get it and drive it to your house and dump it out and take the trailer back.
And we had to load them up into our Ranger and back them all up into the garage, because we did it all in the garage. So that was not very fun.
It probably wasn't as big a project as they made it, but oh my gosh, you'd think I asked them to build Noah's Ark.
Can't do it all in one trip, because it was a big pile of them. And then there's certain sizes we got to pick from, because there's these really small ones in the pile or these bigger ones, and we wanted the bigger ones, the longer ones. Fun part is we got them all done and we had a lot left over.
The worst thing is I had no idea. It's art. I don't know how many I need. I'm going to keep putting boards on the wall until the wall looks good. So I gave them a number, did some quick figures in my head, and told them what I wanted them to do. And I'd say when we were all done, I used about 50% of what they did.
They didn't even use half of them, which was very sad.
Yeah, we have extra if we need them ever, at least. I don't have to worry about doing them again.
Then they had to go and box up all of them that we didn't use. And so yeah, they're a little bit bitter about that. But the wall turned out good. We did some cool signs in there. Those were designed by Mandy and I. Then there's the entrance itself, which this is pretty special. I thought it turned out good. It was the hardest part of the job. We basically built a steel entrance going back in there, so when you're in the raised portion and you see the lobby, you can see that it's really done off of steel and stuff like that. And then I left an opening where I wanted to put an anvil up there, but the idea of putting a 250-pound chunk of steel directly over your head when you walk in through a door made me a little bit nervous. So I got the idea of, once again, I told you guys Cassie is smart. She's also pretty artistic. She loves drawing and sketching, and she's pretty good at it. So I sat down with her and I said, here's what I want to do, and I gave her the how-tos. And so we basically bought a bunch of foam insulation. She carried it. She did the hardest parts. I just was more along the lines of, okay, here's how you might want to shape that better, and here's how you could do that. But we basically built a hammer and an anvil out of foam insulation. And if you don't know that, you don't know that. I mean, it's pretty realistic looking. So something that looks like it weighs a lot, you know, in all actuality weighs about 2 pounds. So that was fun. And that's pretty special because Cassie did that.
So we pretty much rebranded that whole back half just to give people a unique place to come in, sit down, have a coffee, enjoy their breakfast, bring their laptop, whatever, and to get their work done or just relax and have a good time.
I actually really like how the wood wall turned out. I think that looks really cool, and it added a whole different feeling to the room.
My favorite part of the painting all of the blocks with stain was not being involved in it. I did not have to help at all. That was all Rachel and Kendra. In the end, it looked really good.
I love how they did the little TVs in there because kids probably would love that, how you get to draw, kids love that. I mean, I think it draws attention to people. I just love the way it looks really nice.
Without question, the side that has the beams and the lights that we built is my favorite part of the project. We've got a lot of really good reviews, and I don't know why we wouldn't. I mean, it really looks neat.
I really enjoyed doing the BW remodel. Like, it changed it completely. We love how it turned out. That was definitely something that we were like, how's this gonna look? What is all these pieces? Like, we had no idea because Dad just kind of starts going and we don't know how it's all gonna work out. But I love the way that turned out, and it was a really fun project.
Sentimental wise, I think my favorite part would be the picture frames back in that back room because all the tools that are on those picture frames are actually stuff from my grandpa's blacksmith shop. So they're either things that he made or used in that blacksmith shop. So I think those turned out really, really cool. And then I also really like the table that Dad did for the drawing, the thing that you can actually pull the paper out and sketch on the table. He did a really good job of building that and putting that together as well.
Probably that back room where he used like all Grandpa's old tools as like the pictures. I really love that room.
The best part of the renovation would probably be the Montana room. To most people walking in there, you know, it's just a cool room that's decorated. To the Willems family, when they walk in there, it's kind of a room that that pays homage to Ben Willems, and so it's definitely got to be my favorite part.
So again, that's kind of how we ended up here versus there. It's kind of funny how we went from, oh, we're not even going to put in a location for a long time, like 5 years down the road we might. We really want to just roast coffee to, oh, we're putting in a location, we got to put in a location now.